The story begins with a car cruising leisurely down the road. Suddenly, the sound of a phone ringing breaks the calm, signaling an incoming call from someone. The man inside the car with white hair is our main character, Tion Ran. To make it easier to remember, let's just call him Tion. At that moment, Tion is talking on the phone with his fiancée. They get into an argument, and in the end, Tion decides to call off their wedding. Suddenly, Tion's car hits something quite large. He's unsure what kind of creature had suddenly appeared and crossed in front of him. It turns out to be a large, white-furred goat, but something about it seems strange. Its eyes are big and glowing red, looking anything but normal. Tion is puzzled by what just happened. He wonders how a goat could remain completely unscathed after being hit by a car that size. The goat casually walked into the bushes and disappeared, leaving Tion still baffled. Afterward, Tion continued his journey home. When he arrived home, Tion began unloading his groceries. From a distance, he heard a cute and cheerful voice calling out to him. It turned out to be his younger sister, Li Han, affectionately known as Han Han. She approached him, accompanied by her 2 pet dogs. Han Han helped Tion carry the groceries. While helping, she mentioned that she had finished the tasks Tion assigned to her. She had already fed the livestock and watered the plants. However, Han Han suddenly noticed her white dog eating the plants in their garden. Without hesitation, Han Han playfully gave a light smack on the head of her white dog, Xiao Bai. After that, they quickly went inside the house as night began to fall. Unbeknownst to them, a cow stood in the distance, staring at them with its large, glowing red eyes that looked far from normal. The next day, inside the house, a radio broadcast announced that a rare lunar eclipse of the century was about to begin. The clear blue sky served as the backdrop for this event. Tion and Han Han listened to the broadcast excitedly while having lunch. The announcer began the countdown to the appearance of this extremely rare solar eclipse. Han Han pointed to the sky as the eclipse began. A large black circle covered the sunlight, gradually plunging the Earth into darkness. Suddenly, the temperature dropped drastically, becoming bitterly cold, and their black dog, Xiao He, started barking loudly as if warning them of an approaching danger. Han Han then pointed toward the yard. In an instant, a snowstorm blanketed the entire ground, even though it was supposed to be summer. Tion quickly told Han Han to go inside the house and ordered his white dog, Xiao Bai, to protect her. Meanwhile, Tion, along with his black dog, Xiao He, went to secure the livestock in their pen to keep them safe. Tion struggled to walk through the fierce snowstorm, with the strong winds making each step heavy and difficult. Suddenly, a massive creature charged at Tion and Xiao He. The creature looked like a giant bull. Fortunately, Tion managed to dodge just in time and saw Xiao He barking fiercely at the large creature. Tion immediately ran to find his bow. He spotted it lying on a wooden log and sprinted to grab it. Without hesitation, Tion aimed and fired 3 arrows simultaneously at the massive creature. Tion was shocked. He suddenly realized that the massive creature in front of him was one of his own livestock, a cow that had mutated due to the solar eclipse. However, the arrows Tion had shot had no effect on the cow. In an instant, the cow charged toward Tion, and to his dismay, he had run out of arrows. Before he could react, the cow rammed into him, sending Tion flying. Suddenly, Xiao He barked toward the house where Tion's sister was. Without a second thought, Tion ran toward the house. Meanwhile, Han Han, confused by the sight of their white dog barking at her, was shocked when Xiao Bai lunged at her, ready to bite. A kick came from the side, striking Xiao Bai. It was Tion. He couldn't believe that the white dog he considered a loyal companion would attack his sister. Tion quickly picked up Han Han and carried her toward the shed. An information tab appeared, notifying Tion that there were 4 creatures nearby. Tion told Han Han to go inside the shed and hide until he defeated the creatures. Unbeknownst to him, Xiao Bai attacked from behind. Just then, Xiao He arrived. Tion instructed Xiao He to handle Xiao Bai while he focused on defeating the cow. Tion ran, luring the cow toward a large tree. He grabbed an axe and stood ready, waiting for the cow to charge. Just as Tion had anticipated, the cow's large horns got tangled in the trunk of the tree. With all his strength, Tion prepared to split the cow's belly in 2. Suddenly, from behind, Xiao Bai bit Tion's neck. The dog came from the blind spot behind him. In an instant, the cow somehow pierced Tion's abdomen with its large horns. Tion suffered a fatal wound and slowly began to lose consciousness. However, his mind was filled with strange, loud noises. An information screen appeared before Tion, notifying him that the system was matching him for the apocalypse survival game. The information screens kept popping up, making Tion's head throb with pain and noise. Eventually, the screen told Tion that the preparation was complete. The name Li Tionran appeared on the screen. The apocalypse survival game matching process had been successfully completed. Suddenly, Tion found himself in water, and the system notified him that the survival game had begun. The system also provided information on Tion's basic resource and power levels. He had a level 1 house and a level 1 truth vision skill. Tion started the game at the lowest level. To level up, he needed 8 million points to reach the fortress level. Then, a bright light shone, and Tion opened his eyes. He woke up, stunned by what had just happened. Tion was confused about how he had survived such a fatal wound and how all the injuries on his body had disappeared. Tion looked around but couldn't find any of the animals that had attacked him earlier. He wondered what had really happened while he was unconscious. Suddenly, a chaotic memory flashed in Tion's mind, giving him a brief glimpse of how he evolved into an incredibly strong human, with powers far beyond normal human capabilities. Tion struck Xiao Bai, the white dog that had bitten his neck, causing the dog to immediately pass out. A hatchet was in Tion's hand, and with incredible speed, he smashed the cow's back. The wounds on Tion's body began to regenerate like those of a snake. Tion jumped into the air and screamed loudly. His mind could no longer handle the chaotic memories. Now, Tion was fully aware and confident in his newfound strength. He knew that he had become a different kind of human. He was now at the level of human evolution, superhumanly strong. An information screen appeared before Tion, notifying him that the game was over. He had successfully defeated all the enemies around him. The system stated that for every game Tion completed, he would receive a reward as compensation. Then, the system informed Tion that the first season of destruction had just begun. This meant that all the chaos that had occurred so far was only the beginning. Tion then went to check on Xiao Bai, his white dog. According to the system, the animals had mutated because they had eaten toxic plants. After mutating, their bodies had become incredibly strong and ferocious. Next, Tion went to the barn to check on his sister. He headed to the basement, and it turned out that the snowstorm had knocked out all the power in the city. Even the signal and internet network were down. In this situation, people were unable to communicate with each other. Tion searched in confusion for Han Han, who was hiding. In the corner of the room, he saw Han Han's legs. Tion panicked, fearing that something was wrong with his sister. He tried to wake Han Han, but she didn't respond at all. The system informed him that Han Han was just exhausted and had fallen asleep. Not long after, Han Han woke up. Tion explained the situation, and Han Han, still too tired, went back to sleep. Tion went outside to check the rewards given by the system. On the system's store screen, there were various items for sale. The store sold rare seeds with special effects, as well as ready-to-use supplies like food, although they were very expensive. Suddenly, Tion remembered the ferocious animals. He should have destroyed them until they turned to ashes. Tion then went outside and burned the carcasses of the wild animals. After that, Tion started the diesel generator to restore power to his house. In a hidden room, there was a full set of weapons. However, for now, we don't know who Tion really is or what his true background is. Tion took a pistol and tucked it into his clothes. He left a long-range communication device next to Han Han, just in case something happened to his sister. Tion drove his car, and we could see the surrounding area was in utter chaos. All the animals had mutated, from mammals to wild beasts. Even birds had mutated and started becoming aggressive. Tion drew his pistol and prepared to shoot the animals. Suddenly, from behind, the sound of a siren blared. It was a military vehicle. The car turned and stopped in front of Tion. A soldier emerged from the vehicle and aimed a powerful rifle at Tion. Unaware of the situation, Tion raised both hands. The soldier instructed Tion not to travel outside or towards the city, as the city was now in chaos. Many mutant animals were destroying the city, and if Tion needed to buy supplies, he should go to a government-provided location. It was safer there because of the heavy guard presence. Tion followed the soldier's advice, and it seemed that the situation in the city was truly chaotic. The military had even deployed fighter jets. On his way to the city, Tion intended to meet his ex-fiancée, whom he had called earlier in the story. Thick smoke enveloped the city, creating a horrifying scene. Looting occurred everywhere, with people screaming like madmen. Corpses lay scattered like useless lumps of flesh. The city's atmosphere was so chaotic that only the sounds of ambulance and police sirens echoed throughout. Medical supplies were running low, unable to keep up with the growing number of victims. We could see a woman hugging her husband, crying helplessly as she awaited the angels to take her husband to Valhalla. The authorities announced through speakers that government-subsidized supplies were now available. Everyone who wanted to purchase supplies had to queue orderly and follow the rules. People took out their emergency funds to scramble for food supplies, uncertain how long they would last. On the other hand, some were not so fortunate. A mother hugged her starving child, not having a single cent to buy supplies. Across the street, two men were seen fighting over supplies. Everyone seemed noisy and disorganized. Tion continued his journey to his ex-fiancée's house. But suddenly, a car blocked his way. A man in a blue hoodie stepped out, looking suspicious as he glanced around. He approached Tion and offered a tempting supply of fresh-looking resources. But Tion wasn't that naive. He told the man, "If you're brave enough to eat all of this in front of me, I'll pay you double." The man looked awkward and uneasy. He asked Tion if he didn't trust the freshness of the food supplies. The man became increasingly annoying and started insulting Tion. Without much talk, Tion pointed a gun at the man's head and said, "Calm down, fatty. Don't talk too much or I'll put a hole in that big head of yours." Killing someone in this chaotic situation is very possible, and even the military wouldn't care about your fat corpse. The man immediately broke into a cold sweat and trembled. It seemed he had often scammed people with fake and toxic supplies, taking their money to buy genuine supplies. After a long journey, Tion finally arrived at his ex-fiancée's house, named Zhonglin. He climbed the apartment stairs and knocked on the door, but there was no answer. He then took the key from under the mat and opened his ex-fiancée's apartment. Inside, it looked very messy and seemed like no one was there. Tion found some contaminated fruit and an antibiotic pill. This particular brand of antibiotics was notorious for its bad reputation around the city. Tion was puzzled as to why the apartment was so messy, especially since Zhonglin, as he knew her, was very fond of cleanliness. But everything seemed normal, and Tion was left wondering where his ex-fiancée could have gone. Days passed, and morning arrived. In the outskirts of a small town, Tion lived with his younger sibling there. Tion was trying to cultivate an empty garden. The three of them looked happy with the fruits of their hard work. The tomato seeds they planted began to grow, and it would only be 2 more days until they were fully ripe. It turned out that Tion had bought the tomato seeds from a system store that had an anti-radiation effect. Now, Tion just needed to gather more points to buy more seeds from the system store. In this place, Tion set some rules for his younger sibling to follow. First, do not eat any food that isn't given by him. Second, do not leave this area without his permission. Third, if Han Han encounters any strange animals, he must quickly hide. Lastly, keep an eye on Xiao Hei. Don't let their black dog eat any poisonous leaves. Long story short, an information screen appeared, informing Tion to harvest the plants immediately. Now, Tion had nutritious anti-radiation tomatoes. These tomatoes had health-boosting effects when eaten and a shelf life of 30 days. Tion then tried tasting the tomatoes he had planted from the system store. The taste was surprisingly sweet. Tion's entire body felt warm, and he started to feel a sense of regeneration, eliminating all his fatigue. A new system opened up. Tion could now exchange his resources for points. There were different price tiers and levels for each resource. At the top was level 4, which provided 10,000 points for 1 kilogram of super god plants with additional effects. Next was level 3, which offered 500 points for 1 kilogram of strong god level plants. Third was level 2, which gave 100 points for 1 kilogram of ancient medicinal plants. Finally, level 1 offered 1 point for 1 kilogram of anti-radiation plants. Tion then checked the other plants with ancient plant levels, but some of them were missing, leaving only a few seeds behind. This time, Tion obtained ancient-level carrot plants, which had effects of detoxifying, curing diseases, and eliminating other negative effects. The storage time for these carrots was unlimited, meaning they could not expire. Finally, Tion harvested the entire field. Now, he wanted to sell 70% of his food reserves in exchange for points. The system informed Tion and confirmed if he really wanted to sell 200 kilograms of anti-radiation plants. Without a second thought, Tion pressed the confirmation button. As the system had informed him, 1 kilogram of anti-radiation plants equaled 1 point. Tion sold 200 kilograms, which meant he earned 200 points. Suddenly, a small robot appeared. A system notification informed Tion that he had completed his first recycling and acquired a smart working robot equipped with AI. This was a farming-type robot, which we'll call Bodhi, the farmer robot. Tion thought the robot was too small and doubted it would be helpful in his work. Then, the robot suddenly looked angry, ran to the field, cut the remaining grass, and rolled it into a stack of usable straw. It turned out the AI system within the robot was so advanced that it understood human language and was upset by Tion's remarks. After that, Tion returned home, and they all celebrated this great harvest day with delicious, golden brown roasted chicken. They enjoyed the meal happily, and a warm atmosphere enveloped their togetherness. Suddenly, while they were having fun, Han remembered the time spent with their white dog. He asked his older brother, "Is Xiaobai okay?" Tion smiled gently and replied, "That white dog is surely fine. He's been our friend since childhood. He'll definitely come here once he's healed." After dinner, Tion tried to check on Xiaobai's condition. It turned out that he was still affected by the mutation virus. Suddenly, the system sent a warning to Tion. The system informed Tion that someone was trespassing and attempting to enter his territory. At this point, Tion activated one of his skills, the monitoring screen skill. The system began scanning the surrounding area for the intruder. The system reported that the intruder was a 42-year-old man without any weapons. The threat level of the intruder was 3. Tion tried to take a closer look. Turned out to be his uncle, named Nan. Tion then went to meet his uncle, who was waiting at the gate. His uncle had come to ask Tion for help. He requested some food, as all his money was gone and he couldn't buy any more food in the city. With a heavy heart, Tion refused his uncle's request because all his vegetables had been ruined by the mutation virus. However, Tion was still willing to give his uncle some instant noodles to help him survive. With a faint smile and a grateful face, his uncle thanked Tion and then went back home. Tion thought that he must remain vigilant because, in situations like these, everyone could be a threat. 3 days later, Tion took his younger sibling to visit Uncle Nan, bringing some additional supplies and checking the conditions outside their territory. They finally arrived in the city. However, the city's atmosphere was eerily silent, sending shivers down their spines. Danger could strike at any moment. Tion and his younger sibling got out of the car and were now standing in front of Uncle Nan's house. Suddenly, they heard screams from inside. It was Uncle Nan, hysterically shouting as he watched his son continuously vomit blood. Uncle Nan looked very panicked, but there was nothing he could do. The hospitals were already overcrowded with patients, and the medical staff had not yet found a cure for this mutation disease. Tion's younger sibling, Han, looked panicked seeing the situation, while Tion speculated that Uncle Nan's son had accidentally eaten radiation-contaminated vegetables. Tion then remembered the ancient-level carrots he had. He thought, "Isn't this the perfect test subject?" While Uncle Nan and his son were trapped in the tension, a wrapped white cloth broke through the window and fell into the house. Uncle Nan quickly opened the cloth and was surprised to find fresh and delicious-looking vegetables and fruits. He also found a paper-wrapped bundle containing carrots and a note. Uncle Nan read the note. "If you want your son to recover, he must eat this carrot." Uncle Nan was skeptical of the note. How could a carrot cure a deadly virus? Even medical professionals hadn't been able to. With no other options, Uncle Nan decided to take a chance on the carrot and the seemingly ridiculous message. He gave it to his son, who was on the brink of death. As soon as his son ate the carrot, he began to vomit blood from his mouth. His son's pale skin slowly started to recover and become healthier. Uncle Nan, seeing this transformation, felt immense joy and disbelief that a carrot could cure such a deadly disease. Tion, watching from afar, only gave a faint smile. He was satisfied because the system had not lied about the effectiveness of the plants he had grown. Suddenly, bright lights from the street lamps appeared, indicating that electricity had been restored. Tion immediately took his phone and tried to call someone, but there was no answer. Meanwhile, a phone rang in the pocket of a woman, surrounded by several men who seemed to be plotting something evil. They laughed wickedly. The story ended with a van speeding down the eerily empty city streets. The story continued with Tion's car cruising casually down the road. His younger sibling, Han, was amazed at how his brother had saved someone's life just by having them eat a carrot. Han Han was so excited that Tion couldn't understand what his sibling was saying. In the midst of their warm conversation, without them realizing, a large shadow leaped from tree to tree, observing and watching Tion's car from a distance. Suddenly, a thud was heard on the roof of Tion's car. He looked up and saw a hand with sharp claws appearing above them. Red eyes glared menacingly at the confused Tion. It was a mutated and ferocious monkey. Tion quickly told his sibling to hold on tight. Tion stepped on the gas. At full speed, he tried to shake off the monkey, but it wasn't as easy as he had hoped. The monkey was very stubborn and kept clinging to the roof of the car. Tion prepared to take the gun in his hand. Tion tried to shoot the monkey in the head, but with incredible reflexes, the monkey dodged Tion's bullet. Now, the monkey moved to the front bumper of the car. Seeing this opportunity, Tion floored the gas pedal, aiming the car at a sturdy tree. He intended to crash the monkey into the tree. While keeping the gas pedal pressed, Tion protected his younger sibling. A hard impact occurred, causing the monkey to scream in pain. Tion was ready with the pistol in his hand. Calmly, he aimed at the monkey's head and shot it with a hot bullet. The bullet pierced the monkey's head, killing it instantly. Tion checked the monkey to ensure it was truly dead, but he was intrigued by a number engraved on the monkey's body. Tion was puzzled. Whose monkey was this? Around here, there were only mountains, no farms or zoos. The only thing nearby was a pharmaceutical factory with a bad reputation and many rumors in the town. Days passed, and the story showed the small house where Tion and his younger sibling lived. That day, Tion told his sibling to stay at home and watch cartoons while he had to leave for something important. A door opened, and Tion was seen standing there. He approached his white dog, which was still infected with the mutation virus. Tion focused and asked the system to give him an ancient-level medicinal carrot from his inventory. Tion then gave the carrot to Xiao Bai, but the dog only became more aggressive and barked loudly. Meanwhile, Han Han was hesitant to watch cartoons because the thunder was roaring outside. So frightened, Han Han ran to find his older brother. Han Han eventually found his brother in the shed and tried to surprise him from behind. Tion was a bit startled, and accidentally, Han Han saw something horrifying. He saw their white dog, his childhood friend, lying on the floor, bleeding heavily. The dog appeared lifeless. Seeing this, Han Han was in shock and weakened. He cried seeing his dog dead. Han Han asked, "Why didn't you give Xiao Bai the magic carrot?" Tion calmly tried to explain the situation. Even a magic carrot can't always work miracles and couldn't heal our Xiao Bai. Han Han cried uncontrollably in his brother's arms. They both buried Xiao Bai's body near a big tree. Han Han looked very sad for losing his good friend. After that, Tion took his sibling back into the house. Tion made a delicious burger for Han Han, but Han Han ignored his brother and continued watching cartoons. Tion then instructed Xiao He to watch over his sibling. Tion went to the field to harvest his crops. This time, he harvested 500 kilograms. He told Bodhi to handle other tasks. After that, Tion exchanged his harvest for coins and upgraded the nursery to level 2. Suddenly, a warning appeared on the system screen, informing Tion that their territory had very weak defenses, at defense level 3. These defenses could only prevent small wild animals from entering. The system suggested that Tion immediately build a stronger defense system. Tion quickly upgraded the fence to level 2 and added an electric mesh on top of it. Suddenly, a system reward appeared. Tion received a level 1 patrol radar robot. Tion then thought about getting Han Han a guard robot. He saw a robot dog in the system store, but it was too expensive. Without hesitation, Tion sold all the food supplies in the warehouse to buy the robot dog. Finally, Tion bought a bird robot for air defense and a dog robot to protect his sibling. The bird robot had very precise shooting accuracy, while the dog robot was equipped with a powerful laser weapon. Now Tion felt more at ease. He approached the saddened Han Han, who looked at the newly arrived robot dog. Tion said, "From now on, this dog is your friend. Let him follow and protect you." Tion told Han Han to name the robot dog whatever he liked and suggested naming it Xiao Bai. Han Han was moved and agreed to name the robot dog Xiao Bai. Meanwhile, on the other side, a director named Liang Tianyu at a company was talking to his assistant. He smiled smugly, as if planning something evil. On the other side, a woman was seen hurrying to a destination. The woman, named Ren Xiao, was the deputy director of Tion Run Company. Ren Xiao disagreed with the actions of the company's leader. The company, run by Ran, was a medical company, Yet she couldn't accept why her company wasn't helping doctors and other medical personnel who were busy assisting people in various cities. Instead, the company was focused on useless experiments on animals. The company's chief executive said, "I am a businessman. My goal as a businessman is to make as much profit as possible." Deputy Director Ren was unsatisfied with this explanation and was determined to check the company's animal testing laboratory. Ren Xiao finally arrived at the company and was greeted by a scientist named Tuzi. Tuzi said he would accompany the deputy director for a tour of the laboratory. Tuzi took Ren Xiao to their nearly successful experiment subject, known as experiment subject number 7. This was the only experiment subject that did not go berserk and remained stable through several experiment stages. The subject's strength had increased tenfold. Here, the deputy director and her team endeavored to uncover the company's dark secrets. The first step they took was to distract all the researchers and scientists in the laboratory. A man whispered to Tuzi, indicating an urgent matter. Tuzi had to leave the deputy director and felt reluctant for not being able to accompany her. However, Deputy Director Ren had planned everything. She contacted her team, which included a hacker in the control room. The hacker said their plan could start now because he had successfully shut down the surveillance system in the laboratory. The hacker gave instructions to Ren Xiao. There was a hidden door in the northeast direction of a wall with a hollow. He told the deputy director to press the lower part of the wall. Without delay, Ren Xiao opened the door and started traversing the dark corridors. She was shocked to see many experiment subjects who were likely city residents. Suddenly, the deputy director stopped at one of the female experiment subjects. The woman had been modified with the lower part of her body turned into a half-fish, or what we know as a mermaid. More surprisingly, the female subject was Zhong Ling. Yes, the woman in the tube was the ex-fiancée of our MC, Li Tianran. Even though she was just an ex, it seemed Li Tianran still harbored feelings for Zhong Ling. Meanwhile, Tion was busy harvesting the corn he had planted, and Han Han looked very happy. He couldn't wait to eat the large corn that had just been harvested. Tion then made delicious buttery roasted corn for his younger sibling. Han Han ate heartily and happily. Tion said he would make another portion, this time with a spicier taste. Suddenly, the system informed Tion that there was a visitor to their territory. It turned out the visitor was Uncle Nan's son, named Xiao Tan. Tion greeted Xiao Tan, who had visited his home. It turned out that Xiao Tan had come to repay Tion's kindness when he was near death. Xiao Tan handed a bag of supplies to Tion as a token of gratitude. However, Xiao Tan's main reason for coming was actually to ask Tion for help. He wanted to buy supplies that had just arrived on the outskirts of the city, but he didn't have a driver's license and needed Tion's assistance to get there. Tion thought for a moment, considering the safety of his younger sibling, Han Han. He felt that his sibling would be safe because the robot dog was guarding him. Finally, Tion agreed to help Xiao Tan. Tion quickly took his car, bid farewell to Han Han, and reminded his sibling to be careful while he was away. The two of them set off for the government-subsidized supply store on the outskirts of the nearest town. The naive Xiao Tan asked Tion, "Boss Tion, aren't you worried about leaving Han Han alone at home?" Tion replied casually, "Don't worry. Who would want to rob a poor farmer like me? My harvests have also been decreasing lately." Tion also added, "I installed electric fences around the house, so it should be safe. There's nothing to worry about." Xiao Tan felt relieved and smiled at this. Xiao Tan took out his phone and sent a message to someone. Tion just watched him from the side. Xiao Tan said that he had just borrowed money from his friend because he was afraid the money he brought wouldn't be enough. Meanwhile, on the other side, Han Han and Xiao He were having an intense fight. They were both very excited watching their favorite cartoon characters fight each other. The scene shifted to Tion. He handed some money to Xiao Tan, saying, "Use this instead. Don't trouble your friend." Xiao Tan felt uneasy accepting it, but Tion insisted he take the money. Tion promised to repay the favor someday. As they were nearing the main road, Xiao Tan suddenly grabbed the steering wheel and said, "It looks like the road on the right is blocked. Let's take the left route." Tion sensed something was off with Xiao Tan and asked, "What's really going on?" However, Xiao Tan appeared very scared and urged Tion to trust him just this once. Finally, Tion agreed to take the left route as Xiao Tan requested. On the other side, a man looked frustrated because their target had changed routes. It turned out they were a group of kidnappers targeting Tion. Tion asked Xiao Tan, "What's really happening with you?" and demanded he tell the truth. Xiao Tan apologized and cried, admitting he intended to trap Tion and hand him over to the kidnappers from Tion Run Company because Tion had a cure for the mutation virus. Tan was forced to do this because his father had been kidnapped, and he was threatened. If he didn't comply, his father would be killed. Tan's initial plan was to trap Tion, lure him out of his farming territory, and kidnap his sibling, Han, to use as a hostage. Hearing that Han would be kidnapped, Tion felt extremely angry and upset. A white car followed closely behind, trying to catch up with Tion and Tan. At this point, Tion realized that when Tan sent messages from his phone and asked about his home, he was actually sending information to the kidnappers. Meanwhile, Han, who was engrossed in watching cartoons and eating popcorn, was unaware of the danger looming over him. However, Xiao, who had woken up from his nap, sensed something. An excavator and the kidnappers were already around Tion's house. Tion was very disappointed in Tan, but he could only cry in disgust. Here, Tion was truly furious and vowed to take down those thugs and send them to Valhalla. Here, the road was blocked by forces from Tion-run company, forcing Tion to stop. He got out while holding Tan hostage. A man with an arrogant attitude introduced himself. His name was Chun, from Tion-run company. He said to Tion, "You give us the medicine and we will sell it. We will share the profits equally. Isn't that a great partnership?" Tion looked at him and said, "If I refuse, what will you do?" Chun gave Tion two options. First, cooperate and celebrate together. Second, we will take the medicine by force. Tion still refused to cooperate with them. After that, Chun took out his phone and ordered his men in Tion's territory to tear down the walls and kidnap Tion's sibling. Suddenly, blue flames appeared from Tion's body. With a sharp gaze, Tion intimidated everyone around him. Tion said coldly, "You're lucky not to meet me in my territory. At least here, I still let you live a little longer." Chun ordered all his men to advance and cut the tendons in Tion's hands and feet. Meanwhile, back at Tion's house, the intruders tried to tear down the walls with heavy machinery. Han was very disturbed by the noise coming from outside. He couldn't enjoy his favorite cartoons. Back to Tion, he easily defeated Chen's men, kicking them away. Chun, seeing Tion's strength, was shocked. He couldn't believe how a farmer like Tion could have such immense power. From a distance, a spy from Tion-run company observed Tion's house. He said to Chun, "Something strange with Tion's house. Large stones are exploding on their own, but I can't see exactly what's happening because it's too far away." Chun didn't care about any of that. He just wanted his men to capture Han to use as a hostage. Meanwhile, Tion seemed to be enjoying the fight. He smiled faintly while beating up these thugs. It turned out that the effects of eating anti-radiation food gradually increased Tion's physical strength. Even his movement speed had improved, and his bones had become stronger. Chun tried to stab Tion, but Tion quickly dodged. Tion took a few meters distance to draw his weapon. He aimed a pistol at the thugs from Tion-run company. Chun and his men hesitated, wondering if the gun was real or just a toy. Chun said to Tion, "If I'm hurt, then all of Tion-run company will become your enemy and hunt you down for the rest of your life." Tion didn't care about Tianruan's nonsense and began shooting at the remaining thugs. He killed all of Chen's men, leaving Chun for last. As a final move, Chun ordered his remaining men to flee into the forest, but that was the wrong choice because Tion wasn't just a farmer. He was also a hunter. The forest was Tion's playground. Tion continued to bombard the men with his gun. One of Chen's men hid behind a rock, thinking Tion's bullets were exhausted and he could now retaliate. But unfortunately for him, Tion was already above him and drew another gun from his system inventory. Chun, seeing that Tion still had weapons, felt it was unfair, but that's how the world is, unfair. Without any delay, Tion bombarded the man's head with hot bullets. Meanwhile, the air defense bird robot became active at Tion's house. The bird robot started shooting at the Tion-run men, killing them all. Turned out the robot was controlled by Han. He successfully killed all the bad guys trying to attack his home. After killing everyone, Han was confused about how to hide the bodies from his brother. He thought his brother must not know about this, and he needed to clean up the bodies scattered outside his house. Meanwhile, we see a battered man, and that man is Chun. Now he regretted his actions. He regretted disturbing Tion's peaceful life, but it was too late. Tion no longer cared about the world. He continued to beat and torture Chun, then interrogated him. Chun had no hope of survival. He had resigned himself to the angel who would take his life. Tion asked Chun, "Who is the boss who ordered you? And who is behind all this?" Chun replied, "It's a man named Liang Tianyu. the CEO of Tion Run Company. To make it easier, let's just call him Liang. Tion looked slightly satisfied knowing who was behind all this. Tion continued to torture Chen until he was satisfied, then asked for one last request before killing Chen. Tion asked to be taken to meet Liang Tianyu directly. A phone rang on a table, and Liang Tianyu answered it. Someone informed him over the phone that the mission to kidnap the farmer Tion had been completed. Someone on the phone told Liang, the farmer won't talk until he sees Uncle Nan, who is being held hostage, and asks to meet Liang Tianyu directly. They agreed to meet at warehouse number 78 around the Tion Run Company area. The three of them set off to meet the scoundrel, the CEO of Tion Run Company, Liang Tianyu. Footsteps were heard from afar, and Liang greeted them. Liang said, "Why did only Xiao Tan and Tion come? Where is Chen?" Xiao replied, "Chen fainted, and I left him in the car. I brought Tion as quickly as possible because I knew Liang couldn't wait." Liang grabbed Uncle Nan's head and forced him to look at the battered Tion. Uncle Nan, seeing this, couldn't control his emotions and urged them both to run. But his mouth was gagged, so he couldn't make clear sounds, only mumbling, which made Liang angry and beat Uncle Nan. Liang then ordered Xiao to bring Tion to him. Suddenly, a foot landed on his head, knocking him to the floor. It turned out to be Tion, who had been pretending to get close to Liang and beat him up. Tion then drew his pistol and threatened Liang. Liang, confused about how Tion suddenly appeared, asked, "Where is Chen?" Tion pointed to the battered man, and it was Chen pretending to be Tion. Seeing this, Liang became furious and ordered his men to kill Uncle Nan. Without much talk, Tion immediately shot two of Liang's men right in the heart, killing them instantly. The next target was Liang's head. Tion shot him with a hot bullet, piercing Liang's head, and he died instantly. Uncle Nan and Xiao Tan knelt before Tion, thanking him and apologizing for what they had done. Tion said he would forgive them this time, but they had to pile up the bodies and burn them all. Meanwhile, Tion would take the car and get rid of the evidence. They had already piled up 3 bodies, with only Chen's body left. Uncle Nan tried to pull Chen's body, but it turned out Chen was still alive. He had a shard of glass in his hand. Quickly, Chen attacked Uncle Nan, but fortunately, it was avoided. Chen had no other choice, and this was his last attempt to take someone down with him. As Uncle Nan was about to be stabbed, Xiao Tan came and sacrificed himself, getting his heart pierced. Suddenly, a car hit Chen from behind, pinning him against the wall. Xiao Tan seemed to be losing strength and began to lose consciousness due to his fatal wound. Yes, Xiao Tan died. Uncle Nan felt very sad and devastated. He stood up and walked towards Chen, who was pinned by the car. Uncle Nan had descended into darkness in his heart. Now his only goal was revenge against Tion Run Company and to kill all its people. Uncle Nan's revenge started with Chen. He stabbed Chen's face with the glass shard until Chen slowly died. The scene ended with Tion and Uncle Nan walking out after burning the bodies and the warehouse. The scene shifted to Vice President Ren. One of her assistants informed her that Liang Tianyu was dead. We could see Liang Tianyu's body, almost entirely reduced to bones. Vice President Ren smiled and thought to herself, "It seems someone was offended by Liang Tianyu's cruel character." Vice President Ren also said, "If these people want to avenge Liang Tianyu, then I will celebrate. But if they target revenge on Tion Run Company, then these people will become my enemies." The next day, Tion and Uncle Nen returned to their home. Han Han was seen trying to dispose of the evidence and bury the bodies. He was afraid that if his brother saw the bodies, he would no longer love him. However, Tion said, "Don't worry, Han Han. No matter what happens, you are my most beloved sibling. You've worked hard to protect our home from those bad people." Tion told Han Han not to think too much about those bad people because they deserved it. They went back home to eat together. A man was smoking his cigar and watching the news on TV. A man on TV said, "The total death toll in this city is 38.6 million people." His son came from behind and asked, "Father, what task do you want me to do?" His father assigned him the task of taking over the Tion Run Company's laboratory, as there were many interesting experiments and technologies there. Additionally, his father also instructed him to extract the mutant virus present in the Tion Run laboratory. The next day, Vice President Ren Xiao welcomed someone to her office. It turned out the guest was Bai, the son of the mysterious man who appeared earlier, along with his large-bodied assistant named Dekue. Meanwhile, Tion, along with Han Han and their black dog, seemed to be heading somewhere. They were seen carrying an excavator left behind by their enemies to dig the ground. While Tion was busy with his work, the system informed him that there were visitors at his house. The system identified the visitors as 2 men and 1 woman, with a threat level of 8. It turned out they were people from Tion Run Company. Vice President Renshao, Bai, and Dekue. Tion met them. They came with the intention of buying Tion's house to use it as a new research site for Tion Run Company. Tion refused to open the gate and asked them to state their intentions from outside. Renshao introduced herself and offered to buy Tion's house, saying that Tion could name any price, as money was not an issue for them. However, Tion firmly rejected the offer. He said that even if they gave him a mountain of gold, he still wouldn't sell his house. Hearing this, Dekue became very upset and started showing signs of violence. The system warned Tion and asked if he wanted to attack them first. For now, Tion chose not to attack. He focused more on gathering information about his guests. Bai suddenly called his bodyguard, Dekue, and without hesitation, slapped him. Tion, witnessing this, just smiled faintly. Bai then politely apologized for his bodyguard's rude behavior. Tion then pointed at Dekue and asked him to come closer to the gate. A hard punch from Tion landed right in his stomach, causing Dekue immense pain. Tion said, "This is payback for hitting my gate." After that, Tion told them to leave. Bai, watching from behind, just smiled faintly. In his heart, he found the situation increasingly interesting. Bai tore a piece of paper and handed it to Tion. He said, "This is my phone number. If you change your mind, you can contact me anytime." Tion accepted the paper calmly, and afterward, Bai and his entourage left Tion's house. However, Tion didn't care about the number. He immediately threw the paper in the trash and activated his bird robot to monitor their car's movements. Tion then returned home and tasted the sesame chili sauce made by his younger sibling, Han Han. Seeing Tion and Han Han looking relaxed, Uncle Nan felt puzzled. He said, "Aren't you both too relaxed in such a chaotic situation?" Tion smiled and replied, "Uncle, all the food in this house is special. If you consume it every day for a long time, your body will undergo extraordinary physical changes in strength." Uncle Nan then asked, "Who were the people who came to the house earlier today?" Tion calmly explained, "They were people from Tion Run Company." "Yes, they are the ones responsible for your son's death, Uncle." Hearing this, Uncle Nan felt very angry. However, he decided to be patient and work with Tion to devise a well-thought-out revenge plan. After that, Tion told everyone to go to bed early. However, he himself immediately went outside to track the whereabouts of his bird robot, which was monitoring the movements of the Tion Run people. The system informed Tion that they were currently at a villa named Harmony. At the villa, the 3 people from Tion Run were seen getting ready to return to their rooms after resting. Renshao had just finished bathing and was proudly admiring her beauty and smooth skin in the mirror. However, the sound of flapping wings outside the window began to disturb her rest. Annoyed, Renshao opened the window to check the noise while enjoying the fresh night breeze she hadn't felt in a long time. Unbeknownst to her, Tion was right above her. Their eyes met in the stillness of the night, accidentally locking in a tense atmosphere. Tion quickly broke into Renshao's room. He covered Renshao's mouth with his hand while coldly threatening, "Don't even think about resisting, or this knife will go straight into your neck." Tion began interrogating Renshao to gather information about Tion Run Company, including the background and important data of the company's members. However, the atmosphere turned tense when they heard Dekue banging on the door. A housemaid ran in, saying she heard the emergency alarm, indicating Renshao was in danger. With his extraordinary strength, Dekue broke down the door. He found Renshao lying on the floor while the housemaid tried to wake her up. Dekue immediately turned his attention to the window, looking for signs of the intruder. Meanwhile, Tion managed to escape through the window swiftly. However, he was suddenly startled by Bai, who was already standing behind him, as if waiting for his arrival. Tion was stunned, wondering how Bai could be there. Bai calmly smiled and explained, "I anticipated that you would escape through the window. That route leaves fewer traces compared to the door." Tion couldn't hide his admiration for Bai's analytical and predictive abilities. He thought that Bai might be more dangerous than he had imagined. Suddenly, Tion launched a quick attack at Bai. However, Bai swiftly blocked the attack with his knee. Bai said, staring sharply, "An attack like that should break the arm or finger bones of an ordinary person when it hits my knee. But you seem fine. Do you have special powers or perhaps master martial arts?" Bai's question implied deep curiosity, while Tion only gave a faint smile, exuding an unbreakable aura of mystery. Tion was shocked to see that Bai, who appeared skinny and ordinary, was able to block his strong punch. He began to feel that Bai was no ordinary person. In his attempt to escape, Tion jumped up at high speed, but Bai swiftly pursued and tried to attack Tion. Quickly, Tion grabbed a handful of dirt from the ground and threw it into Bai's eyes. The attack successfully blinded Bai temporarily. Tion immediately fled before Bai could recover. Shortly after, Bai's 2 guards arrived to check on him. However, Bai stopped them and said, "No need to chase him. He's too fast for you." The next morning, Bai checked on Renshao, who was still unconscious. After ensuring she was okay, though weak, Bai discovered that Renshao was in stable condition. At the same time, De Kuei came in with a serious look. He reported that the flash drive in Bai's computer was missing. Bai quickly realized that Tion had taken it. In his hiding place, Tion began examining the flash drive out of curiosity. He opened a file named Experiment Notes. From there, Tion discovered shocking facts. Bai was a researcher, and the file contained secret documents from Tion Run Company. The documents explained that the disaster was the result of experiments by Tianruan scientists. They attempted to bring humans to the next level of evolution by enhancing their physical and health attributes. However, many experiments failed, causing this deadly plague. The scientists remained confident that after this plague, humans would evolve to a higher level. The new generation of humans would be free from premature birth, have much better health, and drastically increased physical strength. Even more surprisingly, the document mentioned that future humans would have strength equivalent to top predators like lions, tigers, and gorillas. Additionally, humans would have a lifespan of up to 300 years, resembling mythical creatures like elves. Tion was shocked to learn from the flash drive that Tion Run Company's experiments involving humans had started long ago. He became even more convinced that this plague was part of a grand plan involving human evolution. The next morning, Tion tried to distract himself from the shocking information. He brought some cute farm animal babies home, making his younger sibling, Han Han, unable to resist hugging them. However, Tion quickly told Han Han to return the animals to the pen, saying, "Don't play with those delicious meals." Han Han, hearing the term meals, was shocked and immediately protested to Tion. He disagreed with his brother's way of not loving the cute animals. Tion, with a sly smile, asked, "Don't you want to try spicy rabbit meat?" Hearing this, Han Han's mind was filled with images of delicious food. The thought of such a tasty dish was too tempting to resist. Reluctantly, Han Han finally returned the cute rabbits to Tion, looking at them sadly. Suddenly, a system notification appeared on Tion's device. The system informed him that his cornfield had produced a rare product, alband corn. Tion immediately went to the field to check the plant. He found a rare mutated corn called alband corn level 2, which only appeared at a ratio of 1 in 100,000. This corn had a unique effect, increasing speed, strength, and reflexes by up to 10 times for 30 seconds, but the effect could only be used once. Meanwhile, Renshao finally regained consciousness. The first thing she did was check the surveillance camera footage. Filled with vengeance, she vowed to find the intruder and kill them mercilessly. Renshao then met with Bai, who was relaxing and reading a book. She brought a strand of hair she found in her bedroom. Renshao asked Bai to analyze the DNA from the hair, explaining that it belonged to the intruder who entered her room last night. Bai, also curious about the intruder's identity, readily agreed to Renshao's request. He began to devise a plan to find out who Tion really was and what his purpose was. Meanwhile, at Tion's house, Han Han and Xiao Hei found a mysterious box. Han Han, curious about it, opened the box and discovered it contained level 4 divine gain seeds. Han Han thought they were nuts and split one for his dog and one for himself. They both ate the seeds, which tasted very bitter, making Han Han spit it out, but Xiao Hei swallowed his whole, causing him to feel sleepy and gradually fall asleep. That night, Uncle Nen woke up from his sleep, hearing noises coming from the shed. He went to check it out. He found blood traces on the floor leading to the corner of the room. In the corner, he saw a large black creature. Uncle Nan tried to ask, "Who's there?" Suddenly, sharp teeth and a fierce expression greeted Uncle Nan. He was startled and tried to run away, but unfortunately, it was Xiao Hei. With quick reflexes, Xiao Hei chased Uncle Nan, pouncing on him and biting him with his sharp teeth. Tion, who was on the road and relaxing with a cigarette, heard a sound from the bushes in front of him. He went to check it out and was shocked to see a blood-soaked dog. Tion speculated that the dog was hit by a car, and he saw that a puppy had survived and was trying to nurse from its deceased mother. Tion thought that the dog had died a few days ago. He felt sorry for the puppy because it had just been born into the world without any parents to accompany it. Tion felt that their fates were similar since he had also lost his parents, just like the puppy. He decided to take the puppy home. The scene shifted to a black dog, likely Xiao He, biting the leg of one of Bai's subordinates named Wu. Two other guards decided to retreat and leave Wu. They returned to Bai's research facility and reported that a mutated dog had entered the facility. Bai was also puzzled about how a mutated animal could enter the facility. His subordinate explained that Wu was sneaking around to smoke in the forest, but when he lit the match, the animal suddenly appeared from behind and bit him. It seemed the animal was also prepared and hiding in the bushes. Hearing this, Bai felt that this animal had intelligence different from other mutated animals. Bai decided to capture the mutant animal and ordered his subordinates to gather as many people as possible to catch it and use it as a research subject. He instructed his guards to capture the animal alive. His subordinate brought a weapon loaded with tranquilizer darts. Bai began aiming and shooting at the mutant animal, but it easily dodged. Bai and his subordinates started shooting again together, and one of the tranquilizer darts hit the animal. However, it wasn't strong enough to bring it down. The animal prepared to flee and finally went into the forest. Meanwhile, Tion, who was riding his motorcycle, was informed by his bird robot that there were tracks of a large dog 700 meters ahead of him. Tion quickly sped to the location provided by his bird robot. Tion saw tracks of a large dog and bloodstains. His instinct told him it was Xiao He. Bai and his team chased Xiao He into the forest, with Bai looking delighted at the prospect of soon having his new research subject. At the same time, Tion received a notification from his bird robot that Xiao He had been found. Tion was shocked to learn that the group chasing his dog was led by Bai. Without hesitation, Tion pulled out his alband corn, preparing to save Xiao He. Meanwhile, Xiao He continued running into the forest and saw an opportunity. He attacked one of Bai's subordinates' vehicles and climbed on top. Suddenly, the subordinate shot directly at Xiao He's head. Luckily, Tion arrived quickly and intercepted the bullets. Tion had eaten his alband corn, entering a frenzy state and gaining superpowers. He had 26 seconds of power left. Both Bai and Xiao He were shocked at the glowing figure before them. Time continued to tick for Tion's powers, and he brutally attacked the people. With 5 seconds left, Tion dashed towards Bai and delivered a final, super strong punch. Fortunately, Bai's quick reflexes allowed him to dodge. Tion was slightly surprised by Bai's reflexes and quickly retreated. While Bai prepared to shoot and finish off Tion, Xiao He attacked from behind, biting Bai's neck with his sharp teeth. However, Bai managed to injure Tion's shoulder. Tion opened his eyes and saw Xiao He, exhausted and carrying Tion's body. They finally stopped for a moment in a safer place. Suddenly, Xiao He started trembling and having convulsions as if he were about to die. Panicking, Tion asked the system what was happening to Xiao He. It turned out that the divine gain seed that Xiao He had eaten reacted with Bai's blood, which he had bitten, causing Xiao He's DNA to merge with Bai's, forming a new creature mutation. A white light appeared in front of Tion and wrapped Xiao He, like a spider's egg wrapped in its web. Meanwhile, Bai was being treated in his laboratory. His subordinates were shocked at how Bai could still be alive after sustaining such a fatal injury. Ren Xiao asked who had attacked Bai and left him near death. Bai's subordinates explained that the attacker was a mysterious person with a bright white light. Ren Xiao, confused by the story, didn't believe their nonsense. Bai was on the brink of death and would die soon. With his remaining strength, Bai called De Kuei and ordered him to inject the V-shaped virus he had researched and developed. De Kuei hesitated at Bai's request because no one had survived the virus trial so far. Bai said that life was meaningless, that we live only to await death, and whether he died as a human or a monster, it made no difference. The world was empty. Bai only wanted to live a little longer, so De Kuei finally complied with Bai's request. The injection process began. Bai screamed loudly, and all his blood vessels swelled. The virus started to mutate and merge with Bai's DNA. Meanwhile, Xiao Tan heard something breaking from within Xiao He's spider egg. The egg shone brightly, startling Tion, and finally broke open. A dog's leg emerged from the egg, and Tion was shocked to see Xiao He had mutated into a dog-human hybrid. Alright guys, this manhwa done with 30 chapter. If you want a next recaps video of this manhwa, make sure you can subscribe my channel, Manhwa Boy.